Hello, everybody, and welcome to this brand new episode of Music to Live for with Shanti. I'm your host, Shanti Perpolini, and today I'm here with an Hawaiian guest, Gavin Otsuka, owner of the brand Still Proud and lead singer of the band Ikaika. What we are waiting for? Let's go!
Check this out. Music to live for with Shanti.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Music to Live for with Shanti. I'm your host, Shanti Perpolini. Today, we are back doing our podcast in English because last episode was in French, so a little bit different. But yeah, we are back, and today with a guest from Hawaii. Hi, Gavin. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. Life is good. I know it's a good morning to you and good night to me. But yeah, feeling good. Stoked on this interview.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you to be here. As I usually do, I let my guest introduce himself because, some people maybe is watching on YouTube, but for those who listen to Spotify like this, they're gonna just hear the audio. So I would like you to introduce yourself so everybody know who you are, man.
Yeah, name's Gavin Otsuka. I run Still Proud Clothing, which I had started way back in 2009 now, about 15 years ago or plus. And also vocalist of Ikaika, which was started shortly after the fires of 2023 in August in Lahaina. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Cool, cool. As we were saying before we started this episode, I guess the guest is more far away from where I live. I'm from Switzerland. You're from Hawaii, and it's amazing that the fact that nowadays we can talk and connect all over the world. I think it's just
Oh
cool.
yeah. Yeah,
Man,
it is crazy.
I gonna start with a question, and well, you introduce yourself talking about your brand, Still Proud. It's a brand that I already knew because a couple of friends of mine playing in some bands had some clothes, or my Instagram just pop up your brand, and I always been curious and everything, and then with the time I connected out with you, thank our friends in Knives Out Records, shout out to Jean Marie in Paris, and. Yeah, how it started this idea of doing this brand.
Yeah. So, like I said, started in 2009. Um, Leading up to that, I had music was my outlet. I was in bands, singing in bands, metal, hardcore bands for almost a decade. When that ended and I graduated college, I was like, oh shit, I guess I got to get a big boy job now.
Hmm.
And, and left that music life behind. Um, but, you know, a year sitting in a cubicle, I'm like, just shit, what do I do with all this inner turmoil that I was used to, getting out on a microphone? Oh shit, a t-shirt, it doesn't get any more bold or blunt than that to express yourself. So, I'm not like a big streetwear fashion guy.
Hmm.
I just had something to say. And, I was like, oh shit, okay, I guess, back then there was no YouTube University. There was no, Instagram and TikTok and all these social media outlets. Literally, there was a website called T-shirt Forums where I pretty much learned all this shit, just basically how to run a clothing, brand. And that didn't even
Nice.
come until, a year or so later. I was just so obsessed with getting out, ideas and turning them into clothes. And, that's how it began,
Hmm.
just my missing that aspect of screaming in a microphone and being able to vocalize all the shit inside and, just needing a positive outlet to release that. That's how Still Proud started.
Yeah, oh, that's an amazing idea and project, like it's because I also had this feeling sometimes that you're doing something in your life because you have to, you have to pay the bill, you sorry, your bills to pay every month and
Yep, yep.
everything, and but then the big difference always doing something that you really like, You
Right.
notice, right, the difference. Like I also
Oh,
choose to become
100%.
freelance after working for almost 10 years
Right.
on the contract, always in music business, but I totally notice the difference,
Yeah.
and
Oh, no, I mean,
it's amazing.
yeah, you're either working for somebody else's dream or you're working for your own.
Yeah.
Everybody, in my opinion, everybody needs something other than what keeps the roof over their head, the food on the table, just something that's organic and expressive, and you should, people need to pursue that and lean into that. It may not go anywhere, but hey, the personal gratification you will get from leaning into one of your hobbies that you love more than anything in the world
Hmm.
will make life in general and your dead end job that you probably don't like a lot more, feasible and,
I
manageable. And
totally agree with that. But about the bands you went to, they were all from the away, or you also have the
no,
chance to live in America. I mean, on the
yeah,
on the
so
not on the highland, let's say.
yeah, well, we call the greater US the mainland. I mean, Hawaii
Uh,
is essentially pretty much might as well be its own territory, like it used to be prior to, US annexation and all that shit. But no, so I'm born and raised in Lahaina, Maui. Lived there till I was about 8. When my parents got a divorce, that's when I went with mom over to Florida.
all
So
right.
I was in Florida for maybe 20 some odd years, spent most of my adult life there. Um, and yeah, would always come back, summers to see family and whatnot. But, getting into music and everything was all in Florida.
Hmm.
That's kind of where I got my musical chops and, got into heavy music. And, I mean, the Florida hardcore scene that's when I found hardcore and basically the genre of music that I had always been wanting, you know, coming up on like, 90s alternative rock and then Metallica and Pantera and stuff. I love all that, hip hop too, but I always wanted a connection and a sense of community in the music that I was in. So, living in Southwest Florida, lots of, Florida's a giant state. So there are so many different pockets of scenes.
Hmm.
When I found hardcore, I was like, oh shit, I'm all in, and here we are 20 some odd years later, still doing this shit. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
see, I see, I see. This is something that I always try to put on the table when I got podcasts with guests from the US, or because there is this huge difference if you say between the scene that you can find in Europe and the one you find in the US, let's say. And in Europe, we live a lot with this so-called American dreams, or like this idea you see,
Um,
oh, there is this big concert, Furnace Fest, or stuff like this, where all the bands are together. Or, yeah, of course, years ago, I got just a few friends that traveled to America to witness the Vans Warp Tour, like I just
yeah, yeah,
these ideas, and then I got some friends coming touring to Europe, and they going to come back and maybe doing some interviews to say, oh, we also felt a positively difference in how the European are living the hardcore and metal scene, and
right.
I think there's it's in the end it's always kind of a big family, but
Mhm.
in like every family there's pro and cons or like all tensions, but
For
I
sure.
really I also had this experience. I was a teenager, and I remember a friend of mine told me, yeah, this weekend come with me to a concert, and you all got this process to having somebody a little bit older than yourself and bringing you to a concert,
Mm.
initiate like kind of an initiation to something, and it's open
Yeah,
huge doors, different kind of bands coming in,
right.
listen to different kind of heavy music, understanding that there is not just screaming and
Mhm.
playing guitar fast, and then for me, for example, it broke a lot also with the straight edge thing, and so, what can I say? This is also my life school. So, it was
For
really,
sure.
really a
Yeah.
very, very interesting experience. And I was scrolling on Instagram. I saw your band also is now releasing something brand new soon. That's right?
Yep. Yeah, yeah. There's a new EP, 5 songs, including an intro written already. I'm just about to start, writing the lyrics and stuff for that and doing my
Yeah.
part. But yeah, no, this new EP, it's fun, it's eclectic, it's all over the place. It's like a collection of basically all the different subgenres and facets of hardcore that we love, com you know, compacted into, 4 or 5 tracks. And yeah, no, I'm stoked on it, man. It's gonna be fun.
I will keep updated all the audience of the podcast also because I'm gonna repost all the information you
Yeah,
will send to me and everything you will put
for sure.
online, of course. And let's talk a little bit about the collaboration with Knives Out. How did you get in touch with Jean-Marie in Paris?
Yeah, so through Still Proud, when I first started, a couple years after, I started sponsoring bands. Providence, John's his band. Oh, yep, there you go. Was one of them. There was also Pay No Respect
Hmm.
from the UK, and then some of the state bands, Lionheart, California, I think Dead Icons, I think Midwest, Thick as Blood, Knock 'em Dead from Florida. And yeah, that's how I initially, you know, um, became, I guess, friends, homies with Providence. And then that band ended, and then he had started his label, many years thereafter. And I just kind of kept in touch with him.
Hmm.
I forgot. I'm like, oh shit, I should, what contacts do I have? Oh shit, yeah, I got the homie over in Paris with the badass label. Not even like thinking, hey, oh, I'm gonna get something from this. I was just like, oh, yo, the sound of our demo is so, akin to early 2000s, maybe late 90s,
Hmm.
and his band is kind of embodies that sound too. So I was like, or his former band. So I was like, oh shit, let me just send it to him on a whim. I just want to get his thoughts on it, from an old head. And then, he heard it, I, let him know the story, how the band started. And he's like, yo, do you want to put this out? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've never, all the bands I was in, spanning almost a decade way back in the day, I never got to put anything on a label. And that was always, like, a, a goal that I wanted to accomplish. And
Of course, yeah.
then, then I just shoot it to him on a whim. And he's like, yo, let's put this out. So I was like, shit, of course. Yeah. So that's how that initial conversation was had, um, to the final result that you see now in Knives Out, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful freaking digicut CD with so
Yeah,
much
yeah, yeah.
intent and DIY nature put into it. I mean, the dude literally sat there and die cut, hand cut out each
Hmm.
100 booklets. And yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah, I had
super
the
stoked
chance to
to,
meet him in Paris, and then I visited him a couple of times and always show me he was always showing me something new or some ideas, and it's worthy. So for all the listener, just go and check it out, Knives Out Records, because he's putting out a lot of records, and with special let's say that he's building this kind of new format of artworks of CD if you love. For example, some people buy LPs because they like the size of the
yeah,
like even the cover, it's bigger and you can do more details and everything. And Knives Out just brings that to the next level, making really interesting cardboard playing. You can open it, you can cross it, and then you see different images. It's very, very special, and it's very unique. So even if you are a
yeah,
listener or if you're a collector, he got everything you need. I will say
yeah.
because it's really something unique, and it's definitely
There's,
one thing
yeah,
that is really makes me poof, say what
yep,
because some ideas I will
yeah.
never come up with the idea. Oh, if it
Right,
goes the right side and then up the left side of the cover, you see an images, but when you open it, it's totally another things. But everything
yep,
is teamed with the band spirits or with the album original album cover.
yep.
So
It's
it's
yeah, it's artwork that tells a story. That's like
yes,
each piece that he puts out. When you pick up something from his shop, you're not picking up just a boring let's take the CDs in particular, a boring jewel case CD with a one-page booklet that everybody's seen from the 90s up until current day. No,
hmm
you open that thing up, it's artwork. It's an expression of all of everything that that band that he works with put into it. Is you see it in the final
Yes,
product of what he puts out, man. Like, yeah, little custom things like, you open up the CD and then like the eyelets in the Ikaika mask that we have on the demo cover are cut out. And then that's where the booklet sits behind it,
yeah,
little, and then like each case has a hammer and nail etched in it that he hand etched into it. Like there's no other label that puts out anything with that much attention to detail and actually tells the story of the art, you know, of the
definitely,
band that puts it
definitely.
out.
Definitely. And I remember also, I think one of the last things that Providence released was a split with the band Hoot, and
Yep.
Providence cover Throwdown,
Yeah. Yep.
and with that song Unite. That I think
Unite. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I don't remember
so
which album is that, but I
that's
just
I think you don't have to be blood.
yeah, right. It's one of the first
Yeah, I
of
think
they
that's the throwdown.
released, and
Yep.
I just remember that like if people know the song, it start with this crescendo like unite,
Yep.
unite,
Yep. Yep.
and then
Yep.
it goes really fast. And Providence is a beat down band, but in that moment you see the guitar very fast, really groovy,
Yep. Yep.
and then
Yep.
it goes at the
Yep.
end of the song. They put it like a heavy beat down,
Yeah, it's
breakdown.
nasty. It's
Oh my God, it's like a not even almost 2 minute songs, but it's just heavy.
yeah.
And and even for that specific split, they did like an amazing cover, kind
Mhm.
of tattoo, old school, or
Yep.
it
Yep.
was such a good idea. And this is also why I always check regularly what Knives Out is putting
Mhm.
out because, and they don't have just CDs or LPs. They also do some for
Yeah. Yep.
cassette. So even
Yeah.
people who love this kind of vintage feelings, they can find everything they need. And I, now that we're talking about brands, I'm gonna jump out back on your own Still Proud, because even nowadays with the I would say the tumult there is nowadays with politics and society, because we are seeing this kind of shift of the whole mentality, people being more open. And in this case, not I don't think it's really something positive in some ways, like being even racist or like having, I think people are learning what doesn't mean freedom of speech, but they are forgetting that this has consequences. So
Right.
it's
Right.
not
Right.
that you can say whatever you want, but don't expect that
Mhm.
everybody just be like there silent and accepting. And
Right.
um, I'm telling this because one of the design that I remember and I really enjoy was the one you put out with the van shoes kicking the face of the neo Nazis and or the KKK member, and I because I remember I don't know it was one of the first graphics that I saw from you, and then I saw the T-shirt with not in my neighborhood with the AK,
Mhm.
and I think this is for me is one of my favorite design that you put out because I think as you said, I think in the past, if we look at some design of also from different bands, they were more like straight and direct with a meaning. I mean, maybe if in
Yeah.
hardcore, I always loved the fact that it was maybe the name of the band, and then in the back you got like this classical scene of printing of a picture, like with the singer sing along, stage diving and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yep.
this,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
then
Yep.
something really important. Um, some phrases from some lyrics, so there was
Yep.
like a
Yep.
message. I remember there was this t-shirt of an hardcore band, and one of my friends owned that, so it was so proud of it. I was And it was reading "You lost my trust," and
Mhm.
everybody were like, or like I got a t-shirt again, and I keep some t-shirt like
Uh,
jar reliquies, like I just put that aside
right. Just a
because and I
vintage piece. Yeah.
yeah, because I got this one, and now I don't remember the band, but I know I want so bad that T-shirt because they were like it was written "You are scum," And I don't know,
Yeah, Outbreak. It's
Outbreak,
Outbreak.
that's it, that's it.
Yep, yep,
And I
yep, yep.
remember that t-shirt
I had that
was
one
so
too. Yep,
impulsive, and I loved it, you
yep,
know. And or like this the one of Have Heart with written "Watch me sink like a stone." And I don't know
right.
because there is these things with hardcore that you get into the lyrics a lot of bands, and it's something
Yep,
that normally with other genre I don't think you really do that. They're like, of course, you learn those if you like it, but hardcore is so important for me, the lyricism, and
yep,
put that on a t-shirt. Literally, it was the one of the
yep.
coolest things growing up. And I think nowadays all the band is trying to get more into that more fashion brand way
Yep.
or like this, and still missing. But the fact that you put out really strong messages and they're there like this is something I really enjoyed, and that specific one. Um, and the question related, let's say, about this specific T-shirt is, um, do you think that people really understand that message? Like, because it's, as I said, nowadays people you see that there's a lot of people out there that still thinking, oh, but maybe it's not so bad belonging in this kind of mentality. And I'm talking about being more like
Right,
an Nazi stuff or racist
right.
stuff or being proud of something, but and being proud and at the same time put people in different boxes and label them.
Mhm.
And so I think, do you think that the message it's really hitting hard?
I think so, 100%. I mean, just judging off the response, I get, it's like that, not in my neighborhood one. That's a blunt, statement.
Yeah,
And even though we live in a time where people are very more sensitive and, you can't say certain things. And, just with how our society is with the internet, you can't get away with saying things anymore,
yeah,
like you used to back in the 90s with no evidence of such. But still, there will always be facets of racism, little pockets in all around the world, but I'm a very hard on sleeve, very blunt person, and that's reflected in my clothing too. I like to put out shit like that just pisses those people off, and anytime like I put that design out, I think it was back in 2021 or two.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it always some of those like, I'll put out some like ACAB shirts, like kind of, speaking out and like police brutality type stuff. And then like the anti-racist, white supremacy shit. Whenever like back the last big like hit I got when I put that out was like when the Charlottesville stuff happened in the States, where you had a big, white supremacist rally,
Mm-hmm.
clashed with people, couple, fatalities and shit. People ask me, hey, bring those designs back. We want them. And then, the precursor to me putting those or re-releasing those three designs 2 weeks ago was kind of that little debacle with Elon Musk, like speaking at the inauguration and does kind of like a little, sig hi type thing. And then people, immediately hit me up, hey, I want, like bring these back, like the time is now. I didn't put it out for political purposes. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
very I don't have a side. I don't identify with the left. I don't identify with the right. I'm in the middle. I'm somewhere, independent, whatever it may be. But, I like seeing that message out there. So when people hit me up, in mass to re-release it, I'm like, shit, of course,
Yeah,
let's, it's good to have those anti-racist messages out there to not allow those individuals to feel comfortable with their beliefs, because their beliefs are archaic, and we should be past those now, and we are getting towards that.
mm-hmm.
Generationally, it's going to happen where racism will be few and far between, and probably very little,
Yeah,
as not as blatant as it is tolerated in today's society, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, people definitely get the message,
Yeah, I think this is also something that I always like about music. That sometimes you got songs that at first glance, where some people say, "Oh, what is that?" or "Why is singing that?" You know, like well, people get, as you said, sensible on stuff. Sometimes it's just, and even in that, I think it's not. I don't really get the reaction of some people, as you said, just kind of, "Oh my gosh, why you said so like this?" or you can't say
Right.
it's this, or you can say openly this and that. And I say, it's the fact that people should really learn in some ways how to think their own minds, honestly, having their own
Mhm.
opinion and being able to discuss and learn from that or like this.
Yeah.
But it seems that definitely in the new society, and now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to start this episode starting about talking about politics, but it's just about the fact that I witnessed this in a music business too here in Europe. You
Mm.
know,
Of
like
course. Yeah.
some band of friend of mine say, we need to we is it's almost impossible, not to take a side, pick a side, but in some way, say, we notice that we need to be careful what we say because maybe we say that totally as a joke. And I'm a big
Mm.
fan of black humor. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
think that if that would be, one of the solutions, just make jokes, straight jokes, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
everybody's gonna go out home with a good laugh, and that's it.
Right.
But the fact that I really notice, and I work in classical music most of the time, and
Mhm.
nowadays there is musician coming from all over the world. There's amazing musician coming from country like South America, where they also
Mhm.
have another way to learn the instruments because here in
Right.
Europe is something that will still belong to an elite, let's say. So if you have
Mhm.
the money, you have the chance to go and study violin or I don't know, harp and
Right.
stuff like this. But in those other countries, it's not like this. But when those
Right.
people reach some levels, you see there's still like you can feel it, that they are really there
Right.
because they wanted to be there.
Yeah.
They
For
believe in
sure.
that. And sadly, and I witnessed this working also for, let's say, in the big circus with a big name of classical music, that sometimes I'm there hanging out beside the stage. And when I'm not really on a concert duty, I'm just wearing suicidal tendencies shirts or, like
Mhm.
my hardcore shit. And people just look at me like, hey, what are you doing here?
Right.
They don't get it. I say, and then I introduce myself, but I don't want, didn't want, I just will not always go in there and say, hey, I'm here for do this and that. You should
Right.
just accept now. I'm there. If you have a
Yeah.
question, come here like this. And and that slowly also in the hardcore metal scene here in Europe. I mean, you can a little bit feelings this tension
Mm.
and bands being scared, I would say, to leave a strong message.
Oh,
And
okay.
uh, and I think this is kind of sad because we're talking about a social situation that what happened not even 100 years ago, 80 years ago, is so fresh, and people should be like, hey, we have we have opportunity to give a good message or just
Right.
just just to make things right. And but it seems the opposite. And so I think that the fact that they're still out there. I mean, arts is one of the best way to share a message. And for me,
Right.
art is also what you're doing, putting out a t-shirt, and
Mhm.
there's these different forms.
Mhm.
And you go into music, you got your brand, and the fact that you choose to bring this message out, I think is very, very interesting and strong for me in my eyes. And
Mhm.
in your bands, what does the lyrics talk about in your song?
Yeah, the lyrics, this with this Ikaika project, this is probably the most vulnerable I've been and more, like most personable.
Hmm.
I mean, it started, with the Lahaina Strong track. That's about my culture, my hometown,
Hmm.
and it gives you context. The thing I wanted to do with this band is that why there's so much Hawaiian imagery in the artwork and the concept behind it is because you can think of a hardcore band for every state or every continent.
Yes.
You cannot say one for Hawaii. And that, like blows my mind because there's been a hardcore scene out here just as long as there's been anywhere else, but a lot of the bands don't really break through, or maybe they don't look beyond our islands, and
Okay.
and promote themselves out of the greater, to the greater world. So and with Hawaiian culture and Polynesian culture, there's virtually barely anybody ever talking about it in the lyrics. Because what the Hawaiian people went through is the same shit that, African American, not so much as African Americans, but say like Native Americans. That culture, just a displaced culture. Their homeland was taken away, their culture was erased, and we just move about life, as normal. So it was very important with this project. The name Ikaika, it's Hawaiian for strength.
Hmm.
The artwork, that's why with Ikaika, it's so much Hawaii, like, presence, is because I want to tell the story and push it out to the greater hardcore scene or the greater heavy music scene so they have an idea. Oh shit, I had no idea about, how Hawaii was, taken away from Hawaiians and how it became the 50th state. So that was very important with some like that, especially that Lahaina song in particular, or song in particular. It paints the context of Lahaina. I mean, Lahaina was the royal capital of King Kamehameha. King
Hmm.
Kamehameha was probably one of the longest reigning kings, and basically because he united the islands. He brought them all together as one, solid body of people. And Lahaina was at one time the royal capital of Hawaii during his reign. So that's what that song is about. The second one is just about, struggling with that empty feeling of holy shit, my town is gone.
Hmm.
Falling into depression, maybe, like substance abuse just to cope and losing myself. That song's Endless Battle. And then the third track, that the Hammer and Nail, that's about so when I started Ikaika, I hit my boy up, a couple months after the fires. Josh Couture in Florida when I lived there. One of my best friends. Always keep in touch. Blah blah blah. Always had the idea to start something. But then, a couple months thereafter, I was so just distraught. I'm like, dude, okay, let's do something. Let's start this project because I need to get all this shit out
Hmm.
for my mental sanity. So when we started it, 2 weeks in, he passed away. And
Oh.
that was another big blow. After losing my town in August, then one of my best friends passes away in November. And I finally get to start this band with Josh. And then, he passed away. So that was actually the first song we started writing together. We only got about like maybe a minute and a half into the writing before he passed away. But that song's about our relationship and how the band started. And, which is basically that song is an ode, or this whole project is an ode to him,
Hmm.
because without him agreeing to do this and both of us being stoked on it, it would have never got off the ground, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, these lyrics, my early lyrics and stuff were all kind of society based.
Yeah.
My
I see.
thoughts of, hey, I wish society would just come together and blah blah blah. But this one is more personal, and with that Hawaiian culture kind of flair and color to it. So yeah, lyrically, I mean, I just like I've never writing those three songs. I have never cried writing lyrics. I've never broken down, and it was out of that vulnerability, that it's therapeutic. It's I
Hmm.
needed that release, and it's crazy because like whenever, again with the new material, those songs come at a time where going through a lot of things,
Hmm.
and that outlet just presents itself, oddly. So
Yes.
yeah, they're very personable, very heartfelt, and very relatable. But there's
Hmm.
always, as I mean, my stuff isn't very self-deprecating, woe is me, that type of shit. I have always written with a positive message behind it. There will
I
always
get
be
it.
something
Yeah.
uplifting in it, you
Hmm.
know. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the angle that I approach, writing from.
Yeah,
It's
so
way
it's
more
it's a
personable
process
now.
that comes really from different experiences, but then in the last
Yes.
time, really emotionally and of course growing up, also
Yeah.
from the first time you wrote
Yep.
lyrics to now, you really see these changes, and I think it's so
Yeah.
important also, because sometimes I discuss with some young bands and they ask me some kind of advice. Not that I'm a kind of a coach, but
Mhm.
I think it's always cool when somebody maybe younger
Right.
understood that maybe you got this couple of years of experience and you can maybe
Right.
give some good advices. And
For sure. Yeah.
I noticed that there's always a struggle. How much should I open myself? How much should I go on this, on that? I say it's more just like as people in German say Bauchgefühl. You need to follow your guts, like
Yep. Yeah.
and even your state of mind, and or and then you better understand it even when you watch this kind of documentaries about a singer who he or she say she's telling how was the process behind one song, and they say, yeah, I was very vulnerable, as you said, and then you understand also what does it mean. It's not just to say, oh, so people can feel this, and it's just really about the artist
Right.
living that moment and put into music. And I think that it's even when sometimes it happened to me to enjoying songs maybe from the 80s or 90s, and
Mhm.
it's just years later researching a little bit and discover what was going through the life of that artist, maybe things that
Right.
will never be told before, and then you say, oh,
Yep.
now I even understand better
Right.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
feelings. And you can feel years later that there's still this tension, there's still this
Mhm.
emotion going through, because as you said, lyrics and in some ways also sound and everything,
Right.
it's something so strong and so important. And I think this is also why a lot of people that maybe are not musicians, but of course they enjoy music. Like
Mhm.
last day, I was talking with somebody, say, yeah, I don't play anything, and say, that's totally fine. Music is there
Mhm.
to be listened to. We don't have to
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
all expert and scientists in
Right.
music.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still, social media show us all the amazing guitarists or drummers out there, so technicals and
Mhm.
virtuos. But and so people, I think, sometimes create this kind of small difference, like, or border in between. Oh yeah, I love metal, but
Right.
I don't play. That's okay. That's okay. So
Yeah.
people need to feel that, and this is
Yep.
so strong. But just for my information, I mean, Hawaii, it should be part of Polynesia, right? From islands, or
I
it's
mean, yeah, it was its own kingdom at one
okay.
point. And it had like the crazy thing is like whenever you see the Hawaiian, like the traditional Hawaiian flag with the Union Jack in it,
Yeah.
what's crazy is that um King Kamehameha, he had a relationship with, Britain, um, a cordial relationship, kind of allies. And
Hmm.
I guess like in the talks with those, British royalty, they allowed him to use the Union Jack in Hawaii's flag. And Kamehameha was very, very smart in doing that because even though Hawaii was its own territory, that doesn't mean that there's not big boogeymans out there, bigger, large, huge superpowers that would want to come scoop it up. It wouldn't be hard to overtake Hawaii if you came in with, a naval fleet and, such and such. But by having that Union Jack in there, it was very strategic
Hmm.
because any other territory, any other country would come in to the waters, see that flag, and be like, "Fuck that! No, I'm not fucking with the
Yeah,
British,
yeah.
Navy, who at that time basically controlled, three-quarters of the waterways of the world. Even though Hawaii was not an official territory, of Britain and stuff. So yeah, that was a very strategic thing to put that. in our state flag, just to ward off people, other countries, and it worked for a long time.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Hawaii is it's when you come here, you just feel it. It does not feel like the US. It has its own crazy vibe, just laid back and more, just what we call aloha, you know.
Fun fact, we are recording this episode through Zoom, and I is the good friend who's is helping me with the podcast. So allow me to use his pro account and record the episode. Is one of my best friends ever. It's called Filippo Buzzini. So shout out to Filippo. He owns his own agency of he's doing it's interesting what he's doing for a living because let's say that you're gonna do a conference about Still Proud and hardcore music, and it's over 2 days. He comes to your conference and he drawn on a paper all like a sketch of the whole conference, you know. So at the
Mm,
end, you got like a visual map of the conference,
gotcha.
and it's
Cool.
amazing. And he went around the world thanks to this job. And I tell you this because when we ended the high school, I remember he spent like 6 or 8 months at the Hawaii. And
Mm,
for from where I come from, a small country in the middle of
mm,
Europe, it was already something, you know, somebody, you go to Australia or you go to Hawaii, and it's really
yep.
far away. And I remember he came back with a lot of good influence. So he's also one of the friends with whom I start to play punk and metal together, you know.
Mm.
So, and I
Oh, cool.
remember he came back with such an incredible energy, and part of this energy is still
Mm,
there nowadays when we talk. I can feel it, and
yep.
I can only
Yep.
imagine, you know, but as I said, the fact is that we still have, as we have so stereotypes about US, even when we think about Hawaii, we just think, I mean, and I just talk about Swiss people.
Yeah, yeah.
You think about the kind of stereo. I think what like people thinks about Italy, you know, they got
Right.
these three things, and oh, that's it. That's Hawaii. That's why also
Right.
I was says today and ask you some question about Hawaii because I'm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a process to learn, and music allow me to do that, and I wanted the podcast to be also a
Right.
platform to learn something. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's amazing.
Yep.
And I'm sorry. It's just I also admire there is this band from New Zealand, Alien Weaponry, and there is the bass player who is doing a lot of videos about the Maori culture, and I
Mhm.
think it's so interesting because
Yeah, yeah.
you know you follow somebody because you like the band and everything, but
Mhm.
then you ended up learning even more.
Yep.
I mean, personally, I'm learning a
Yep.
lot
Yep.
about a culture that I have to be honest, I didn't know anything,
Yeah,
and that's so
of course.
cool, I think.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I do it, man. I mean, it was, a way to just, it started out a mental necessity, but the greater, just having to get all this shit out, I needed something. But then, thinking, oh shit, man, nobody knows about my culture, and they should, There's, in today's world, I mean, Latino culture, there's so many bands now, from that culture that exhibit that through their music.
Hmm.
Same thing with like African American culture. You got Zulu. You can think of a
Yeah.
band kind of for every nationality, but not like Hawaiian Polynesian culture and stuff, which blows my mind. And it's cool because I Hawaii culture is so, it's a very war torn, war mentality culture,
Hmm.
but it's so fucking beautiful. And, I love it. And I just want the world to know about it versus, some of the stereotypes that you would come here. That's why I was curious, like what, like the stereotypes, from your people that they
Hmm.
have, like what are those, like, is it,
Oh, of course, we still think about, well, of course, first thing is surfing, ukulele,
mm,
volcanoes.
yep,
This
yep.
now I don't know, want to butcher or like be insensitive, but you know, this kind of dance that we see you see in every
Oh,
movies like these like
the hula. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, this kind of things. And yeah, the shirts, Hawaiian shirts,
But
and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it,
yeah, hula. Yeah,
like, and
right.
um in some way. And I don't know, I one question is really interesting me. The Hawaii have been colonized, and so they put also some kind of tell them what's the religion there now. Is most of people are Christian, Catholic,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
there
yeah.
is also the traditional religion of the place still alive?
No, I mean the dominant religion, just like anywhere else, yeah, Christianity,
Hmm.
I'd say. Yeah, I mean when Hawaii was kind of taken over by Western imperial interests, I mean the culture, like the dance, hula, the language, just like anywhere else, just like
Hmm.
any indigenous culture gets displaced, that's like outlawed, banned. You can't, you guys are no longer, allowed to
Yeah.
carry on your cultural historical practices. Now you're going to adopt what the Western world, you know, is into or believes. So yeah, I mean, yeah, dominant religions, yeah, just your same, big three. Um, I would say probably more so Christianity is
Okay,
probably
I understand. Yeah, it's a huge part of this colonization system that happened in the last centuries. And
right.
I was born in India, and but I raised in Switzerland, so I'm a
Okay.
person in between two worlds, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
interest in my native culture. And um I noticed that there is this, I don't know, it seems that they found kind of a good, interesting balance in between acceptance and everything. But in other
Right.
country, as I learn, as talking to people or reading at school, it's been more difficult. And it's really how people also forged societies and also subculture in the end. And
Mhm.
if we're talking about music, that's expression of rebellion. Of course,
Yeah,
you then understand why in
yeah,
some parts there's more lyricism talking about this and that.
yeah.
Like I work part time in a Mexican restaurant where
Mhm.
my boss is from Acapulco, so he's a regional Mexico, is a
Yeah, yeah.
Mexican. And he was telling me a lot, like about
Mhm.
this and that, and how, for example, there, of course, even their religious Christian is a strong
Yeah.
part of culture of the centuries, but a lot of people are really started to bring back
Mhm.
whole traditions.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating for me because I
Mhm.
think it's like having this second life, this
Mhm.
rediscover your origins. And as you do
Right.
with your music, and so you said I want to bring a little bit of identity of Hawaiian to the world for those who don't know. And before you talk about other bands, like this is also for me in my mind. Uh, it's an island, but it's not a small island. So I mean,
No.
you were talking about even older bands. How big is the scene, music scene in Hawaii?
So I mean, there are a couple, it's the hardcore scene is basically on Honolulu or Oahu,
Okay.
which is basically like metropolitan Hawaii. There's probably over 1 million people there. Kind of, it's like, well, we don't want to go to Vegas because it's so far. We go to Oahu because
Okay.
it's metropolitan Hawaii
Hmm.
without having to leave Hawaii. So that's where the hardcore scene is. I mean, it's a small but strong scene. And then there's a couple bands from neighboring islands that will, always come over to Oahu to play. And any big shows that have rolled through always come through Oahu. Like Terror's played there, Lionheart's played there, Thick
Yeah.
as Blood, Rotting Out's played twice, Zabalba. I think Hatebreed, even when I came back, there was a metal fest on Oahu, and I hope I'm not messing this up, but I'm pretty sure Hatebreed played metal fest there. There's been bands like Hope Conspiracy played way back in the early 2000s. There's
Hmm.
videos of that. That's where, yeah, that's just, I think, where the scene has, concentrated. And yeah, it's a diehard, strong scene. It's not
Hmm.
huge, but it's small, but it's growing. And yeah, they're just as stoked as anywhere else,
Yeah.
in the world.
I have a friend also from Philippines, and he was showing me there how the
Yep.
scene also is really alive. And there is places where you don't really think it's not would be possible, but you don't think that, oh yeah,
No.
it's a things that belongs to them too, like, or
Right. All the
but
videos of Indonesia you see popping up are those kids moshing harder than mostly most other
yeah.
people of the world and stuff. Like holy
That's
shit,
crazy,
damn.
and I also discover even from India there is a lot of
Mm.
bands, a lot
Yep.
of and even there I like the idea that I try to mix a little bit. But even Africa, they got the
Mm.
subcultures of metal,
Yep.
like
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
but because of this of the stereotypes once again that we have on a specific land of culture like this,
Yep.
you just like don't think that they will be interested in this and
Right,
that,
right.
but then you got
Yep.
like incredible things, and it's amazing. And of course social media is are helping a lot to do that.
Mhm.
So I would say this is one of the pros of this new kind
For
of
sure.
world.
Yep.
Even the reason that we are now talking,
Yep.
because we
For
have
sure.
how
Yep.
many hours we have? 7 hours? No, it's
11 hours. You guys are 11 hours
11
ahead of
hours,
us.
you see. So
Yep.
now we're talking to
Yeah.
this to computer. I think it's a chance for many people out there to keep in touch or get in
Right.
touch. And for me, it's still kind of mind blowing because reduce distances and allow people to talk and connect. And for me, my life music helped me to connect a lot. And in the
Yep.
last year, when I was student, I didn't travel much because of course you're focused on many things and maybe the
Yep.
money is not that much. But then thanks to my job, I had the chance to travel even just across Europe in places where I never
Mm.
been, and suddenly
Yep.
you're there maybe more than once a year. And I have the chance to visit friends that before we were just, you know, WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then suddenly say, hey, I'm gonna be in Berlin. I'm gonna be in Hamburg for in the next 2 weeks, so we can meet up. And you are there. You're sitting
Mhm.
there with some friends, and
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's something great. Something great. Um, are you listening to something worthy of an advice, for the audience right now in this moment? Of course, as we said, you and your band, you're preparing something that's gonna be released soon, so
Yep.
keep update. But there is something that you find very interesting that could be a good advice for the listener.
As I alluded to before, like just find something. Whatever. It may be the dumbest thing that you think. Like maybe you collect freaking Smurfs. Who the fuck knows, you know? But like you're passionate about it. Like just this life is so it's a blink of an eye, like try to be your own director, like try to spend your days, yeah, do what you gotta do to get by, but also live a fulfilled life, leaning into the things that make you happy. And don't naysayers are out there. They're always gonna be there to badger you down and kill your dreams or whatnot. But you gotta if you want something in this life, you gotta go after it. You gotta go all in. You gotta do it because you're gonna regret. You know, how
Yeah.
do you live life with no regrets? You do things that you know you need to and you want to do. Um, yeah, so just lean into those things, and because you never know where it's gonna take you. You know, I mean, I didn't know that Still Proud would be, have fans on basically every continent
Yeah.
and people that are into it just as much as I am. Nor did I think the band would get out there as much as it has. But you never know what's going to resonate with people
Mhm.
as long as it comes from the heart. Like, and it's an authentic representation of you. Um, you owe it to yourself to just try things. You're gonna fail. I've failed so much throughout the fucking 15 years I've been doing Still Proud. Well, and it's not like I'm making $1 million, but it's me. It's in my DNA. It's my identity. Like I have to do it,
Hmm.
and I want to do it. Same thing with the band. Like, and that gives me so much fulfillment and happiness that I can go, you know, to whatever job I'm working. And, I'm not going to be like, just feel like, oh, I'm just another cog in the wheel. I've got nothing going on in my life other than what I'm supposed to be doing. And just
Yes,
think outside of the box and,
I totally get
lean
it.
into and explore things.
I totally get it. And there a couple of young musicians comes to me and say, ask, we are insecure about this and that. Once again, so should I show myself on social media, or is that essential or it's not essential? And I also always said the same. There is not a fixed rules. There is how you comfortable
Nope.
you are and showing this and that, but don't hesitate to take your stand to show that. And sometimes,
Yep.
for a long time, I've been quite shy talking about why I became freelance. Because before I
Mhm.
had my job on the contract, still on music, but that means that every month you got your incoming,
Right.
you're safe. Let's say with the how
Yeah.
Switzerland system,
Comfortable.
economical system works, you are quite safe. And and then I said, and the fact is that it's not that I wanted to be better, challenge in a like obviously it's a race against somebody else. It's just that I noticed that I had these ideas, this passion for this and that, and sometimes this collide with people that decided to have a life that is kind of basic, and it's okay for if they're
Right.
good, it's
Of
good, but
course.
it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to manipulate your own. And I
Right.
arrived at that moment when I received some kind of mobbing because I wanted to be there and do stuff, and those people just want to be a little bit more easygoing, lazy way, and
Yep.
and and then I just click up my mind because a couple of good colleagues told me, you should go freelance, Shanti. What, try it because
Right.
and I'm really happy that I took this decision, because
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
is still scary because we
Yep.
are in Europe, we are like living right now the consequences of 2 years of pandemic. We are seeing those right
Mhm.
now. And
Right.
so in the music business, the price is getting high, but it's everywhere in the world and everything. And
Yep.
there is like, it's scary sometimes, but um, honestly, when then I'm focused on myself and then I just realize, when you go a little bit back with the feet on the ground, so you have less stress in your mind, that you realize where you
Right.
are, what you're doing. Like I had that in January, I was on tour here in Europe with a classical music production, and I saw that I'm on stage on different cities. One of my passion is speaking languages and learning new languages. So, I
Mhm.
see that if I go to Spain and speak a little bit of Spanish, and you see how people react to you and
Yeah.
they feel more
Yeah.
comfortable, and you see, oh, I guess I'm really made for that thing, for this
Right.
situation.
Yeah.
And it's a very big release. It's a very amazing sensation. And
Yep.
you also realize that, it's not that it's because it's cool because many people do this or like this. It's because you choose to do what you really feels you're
Yeah.
good at. And
Yep.
as I said, scary, but it's a lot of at the end of the day, you can feel that, oh
Right.
yeah, this kind of satisfaction, it's really unique because as you said, you do what you feel in your heart,
Yep.
you feel that that's your passion. And
Right.
I also have this advice: just go for it, and try it.
Yes.
There is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
It's not that you need to jump
Yep.
over up, in the
Right.
darkness like this.
Yeah.
You can do
Yeah.
step by step. It's a process
Yeah.
like everything in life.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And another thing I wanted to add is, well, like with your example of people asking you, hey, how do I present myself, whether as a musician or a band or whatever? It's like divorce yourself from that idea. Like, because everybody nowadays, we see the best parts of people, influencers, bands, the best parts. That's what's posted on social media. You don't see the blood, sweat, and years it took to get that crown. All you see is that band, playing in front of 100,000 people when 5 years
Yeah.
ago, fucking getting 10 people out to their shows was hard. Like, and what works? Like, I did way more with this project in 8 months than I ever did with any of my bands in a decade of playing in bands.
Yeah.
Why? Because be vulnerable. Just be you. The more authentic you are, and the more personable you present whatever your art is. that's what people resonate with. That's what people want, and that's what they're going to support. That will turn them into diehard fans. If you want to support, it's just like us. Like, think of your top bands you love and you've listened to for fucking decades. It's because they are them, and only them can do what they do in the way that they do it. And
Hmm.
that's what resonates and makes us, fans or supporters, is
Yeah.
because we see realness and we see all the fake shit. When a band comes in out of nowhere, playing all the big fests, blah 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 blah, like and like all these bands, just like how it used to be, like, oh, we got to get on a label, we gotta blah blah blah. No, it's everything you need is at your disposal right now on the internet. you know
Hmm.
like, we wrote the Ikaika demo, me and Josh, before he passed away, and then his friend Marco took over on guitar, and he's engineer, so he records, mixes, and masters bands, and he wrote everything digitally. Like, did the guitar. I mean, we recorded the guitars and the bass, and I did the vocal, drums, like, and programming all the scratch tracks that led up to that finished project was all done digitally. You don't need, you can work with a lot less now than you used to, but just put out stuff for the sake of you loving it and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
The rest is going to may take, hey, maybe it might take a month for you to get, you know, to this huge level that you wanted to, or maybe it's going to take fucking 15 years. Like, it's taken me, but
Yeah.
everybody's path is different. Don't compare, comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. And
Yeah,
goddamn it,
right.
is that
That's
ever
true. That's
is that
true.
ever a true statement? Everybody compares themselves to others, and that's where you go in the red, and
Yeah. This is the tricky
lose
part.
your perspective.
I saw that you also train a lot at the gym, and for me,
Mm,
it's been like a life changer experience.
for
Because a
sure.
couple of years ago, I had an accident, and my body changed a little bit. And in the
Mm,
rehab process, I also introduced this. Oh yeah, let's start going to the gym, and I see the
yeah.
process. And I personally do. I don't want to become like jacked or like I don't. I just want to
Yeah.
feel good, and while
Yeah.
training. Also, it's a stress release. I like
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and but when and then social media showed me a lot of things, and there was a moment where I have to be honest, I was comparing myself, like
Yeah.
I'm doing the right
Right.
things, why my belly is not flat or like
Right.
this,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I ask myself, am I happy? Like on what I would do, the training, what I'm
Mm,
doing.
yeah.
I saw a lot of changes in my body. So something
Yeah.
is happening. It's just that happening in
Yep.
with my rhythm, with how my body
Right.
is
Yeah.
working. And for me, for example, that was the biggest lesson because you see this on you. It's not just like,
Right.
oh, you see the difference through a screen and everything. No, no, it's your body. You see it's changing, and
Yep.
but that's it's a allegory that you can apply to life. Just give it
Yeah.
time
For
and
sure.
keep persistent in do what you're
Yep.
doing, and because
Be
I'm
patient.
once again, I saw a lot of young musician. I mean, I'm almost 40, but I'm talking people about in between 20 and 30 that
Mhm.
really struggling a lot. And sometimes I am also the first person to say, hey, you know what? Why you just don't take a pose? You know, just
Right.
it doesn't mean that you don't have to play anymore, but just try something different, and then you will
Yeah.
recognize, oh no, I'm missing so much doing this, and put it my
Yeah.
energy in that. That
Yeah.
maybe, oh, it was good to see from another perspective. And
Mhm.
this helps every times, I think. Yeah.
For sure.
It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
important, so important. Hey, okay, I'm so glad that we had the chance to have this talk,
For sure.
because,
Yeah. Man.
as I said, I knew still proud from the internet, and I've
Mhm.
honestly, in the beginning when you were when it started to pop up on my socials and everything, I was thinking
Uh-huh.
that you honestly that you were settled somewhere in Europe.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
it's only after I just realized, oh no,
Yeah.
wait, this is in Hawaii, and then even Jean-Marie from Knives Out also talk me about you. So, like it was
Mm.
this interconnection, and it's
Yeah.
starting to make even more interest. And I love to have guests like you on this podcast because, as
Mm.
you said, it's music to live for with Shanti, but the concept behind this podcast is not really talking just about let's say just about the process in music or
Mm.
the product in the end or like this is it's part of
Yeah.
that because in my experience I had the chance to start at university. I had the chance to this experience, but many things I've learned just during the pause at work. You sit down with
Yep.
some people doing something different and they
Right.
start talking about you, about this and that. Oh, once I did this, and then you
Mm.
learn, you learn, you learn.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
this is
Yep.
the idea of the podcast, just like
Mm.
having this chat, this human chat, like if we are, as I told you in the beginning, as we are sipping a coffee
Yeah.
somewhere, and we just talk about what our passion
Yeah.
are and what our
For
life
sure.
experience are. Because for me, as Shanti, has been one of the most uh, intricate and positive and strong process
Mm.
for say, oh, right now I'm the person who I am. So thank you a lot. Of course, this episode is gonna be on Spotify and YouTube, and I will put all the links when guys you need to check it out. Still Proud clothing, and
Mm.
if you had the chance, support this brand. Music related, very good message behind that. As we said, also bold messages. This is important
Mm.
nowadays. I mean, for me, it's very important.
Yeah.
And you will find all the information description of this episode. Do you have one last message for the audience, my friend?
Uh, not really, man. No, thank you for the opportunity. This has been awesome. Um, yeah, just everybody take care and keep your sanity in this crazy world. And how do we keep it? We do things we love and with people we care about and forget the rest.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.